Welcome everyone, happy Tuesday, and today is part 2 of learning to teach our dogs an incredible command called place. As I said yesterday, I can't live without it. I honestly can't. I have to have place if I own a dog. I don't want to always go put them up in the laundry room or put them up in a crate all the time. I want to have them around me, but I don't always want them to be the center of attention, especially if I'm really busy working on a project or if I have company over, you name it. So place is a must-have behavior for my dogs personally. And I think once you train it, it'll be the same thing for you. Okay, yesterday we went over a few things. We talked about equipment, use either a cot or a platform, why we use those. We talked about the term mark it or park it, meaning when the dog hops off the cot, we need to mark that behavior, say no, booey, whatever, give a little haptic tug if you have to mark the fact that the dog did something it wasn't supposed to do. It's how they kind of learn it. Paws off cot, mark it. Paws on cot, great. So, again, paws off cot, cost. But we want to mark it, and marking is nothing more. We use the term mark to simply denote a critical time sequence. Again, as in track and field, on my mark, which means get ready, set, and when I say go, or I fire off this little starter gun, you go. All right, so we talked about mark it and park it and put the dog back. And so from that, I actually got a question yesterday in one of the comments, and it asked, hey, Bryan, if my dog gets off the cot, and I mark it within 2 seconds, like you said, and I said no. When I take my dog back to the platform, back to the cot, do I need to say place again? Yes, you do. It's like a brand new one. Almost had the attitude that, oh man, I'm telling you what, nice try, but that didn't really work out, so we're going to have to just try this thing again. So we're going to have to do it all over again. Imagine a big eraser, just erase that last repetition, start it all over. Now, most dogs, after about a week or two of training place, if you say no, they will get back on their own. And if they do, there's really no need to say place because they're back on their cot. So I hope that answers the question. If you do catch the dog getting off the cot, mark it, correct the dog within 2 seconds, take the dog back to the cot or the mat, say place, and start it all over again. Go through the exact same sequence. Place, say stay, and walk away. Now, I did have someone also challenge me. This wasn't just recently. This was about a year ago. And they asked me, Bryan, they go, why do you always reward the dog when you take it back to its platform? Now, yesterday, you notice I said only during the initial training. What I was challenged with was, aren't you just rewarding bad behavior? If you tell the dog place, good boy, and then walk away again. And then my response to that question was that day, and it'll always be, I'm not rewarding bad behavior if the dog doesn't know it's bad behavior. And I guarantee you within about the first couple of lessons, at least 2, maybe 4 or 5 for some dogs, they haven't put together yet the requirement that I actually have to stay on this cot or on this mat. They're still working that through. So you want to encourage them, hey, get back on there, man. That's your great spot. Enjoy it. It's a nice place to be. You don't want them to be fearful of it. And that's exactly what can happen if you don't reward them for getting back on there when they're still trying to work out what the heck does place mean. Remember semiotics, signal, interpretant, referent? Well, in the beginning, there's a signal. Yeah, you're saying place, but I don't have an interpretant. I don't know if I can interpret what that means. And I definitely don't have a referent. I know you've done it to me a bunch, but still, until I have an interpretation of it correctly, I really don't have a valid referent. So that means all those lines between the signal, the interpretant, and the referent are dotted lines. We call it conceptual distance. So there you go. So that's our review from yesterday. I'm going to kind of demonstrate here with Captain. So here we go. You ready, cattle dog? Ready, buddy? Place. So I tell him place, attaboy, good job. I set the behavior. Remember, that's a little trick I want you to do. Just a little pull. You're not correcting your dog. You're just evoking opposition reflex so the dog will just really fight for that spot. Then say stay. Why? Because we're building a house within a house. I'm creating 2 behaviors at the exact same time. That's working smarter, not harder. Stay and then leave. Remember with the long line, we pay it out. Right over our hands. We always have the right amount of leash in our hands. So now we pick up today on part 2. What do you do once you're out here? What do you do? How do you grow this thing? Well, there's 3 D's I want to show you on the board here. 3 D's that we work on. 1, distance. The other one, duration. Number 3, distractions. Distance means how far can I go away from my dog that my dog will continue doing this behavior. And as I said yesterday, get it to where you can go out of sight. So it's really manageable. Otherwise, every time you leave the room, there goes your dog with you. And that's really simple nowadays with all the technology. We have cameras, for example, in this room. We can see from above. We can go to anywhere in this building and monitor what the dog is doing. But you can do the same thing. You can hook up with someone on FaceTime. You can also use iChat. You can use a Zoom meeting, web conferencing, you name it. You can use the little crack between the hinges on the door, blinds, tinted windows. Be creative. You simply want to fool the dog into thinking that you've left and you're not coming back. And therefore, when they hop off, you suddenly reappear and go, hey, excuse me, what the heck? Just because I left the room, you're not supposed to be getting off that cot. Bad dog. And put the dog right back on that cot. After a few applications of that, they won't get off when you go out of sight. And kind of remember that, because anytime you're training your dog to do place, you're running them through filters. Meaning, under what conditions do I have to do this, Brian? You mean even when you leave the room, I still have to stay on this thing? Yeah, you do. You really do. So work your distance slowly in the beginning, put on a long line, get out to the end of that long line. Remember, once we get to where we're going, set the line on the ground, and then start doing other things with the dog while you're out here. Next thing, you're working on duration. How long can your dog keep this on his brain? Now, don't make every single place this long endurance place. In the beginning, it's more important that the dog understand how do you properly get on and how do you properly get off. And once they understand the rules of engagement with the command place, duration builds itself. I mean, we train dogs here, and they're not on a cot for more than about 30 minutes during any training period, but yet they've gone home and it's been reported back to us that they'll hold that for several hours. So that being said, it's all about the rules of engagement. In the beginning, maybe just a couple of minutes, and then if you are going to do a longer place, make sure you do it under the 3rd D. And the 3rd D is distraction. Distractions. Under what conditions will my dog perform place? And I need you to think about that, because everyone should have a customized place for their dog. You decide, hey, if I'm going to use this command, when would I use it? For some of us, while I work out in my home, I want to use it then so the dog's not running up and down the stairs and creating a distraction for me. Others say, hey, I want to go to a cafe. I want to take my dog with me and just unfurl my mat and have the dog get on it. And now I can sit there and have dinner and enjoy company with my friends and have my dog participate in that. For some, it's when guests arrive. I'm tired of my dog jumping on people. I'm worried that my dog might bite someone. So you want to use it under those conditions. Sometimes you just want a break from your dog. Your dog's underneath your feet all the time, following you everywhere, even into the bathroom. And you finally say, hey, can you just stay over there? I got to do something over here. So you decide under what conditions must my dog do place. That's up to you. And then slowly and gradually work towards that goal. Work towards that goal. A funny story, I had a lady come in, drop her dog off for a board and train program, and we trained it to do place. And while I was doing my turnover with her, she goes, I can't wait, Brian, I cannot wait to go home and do the dishes. I said, what'd you just say? Do the dishes. I can't wait to go home and do the dishes and use this. And I go, okay, well, first of all the people I've met in my life, I've never heard anyone say, I can't wait to do the dishes. So what's up with the dishes? She goes, I've got this problem. Every time I lower the door on my dishwasher, there's my dog. Hops all over that door, starts licking the dishes, whether they're dirty, whether they're clean, drives me crazy. So now I'm going to use place, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I went, oh gosh, I have sad news. Had you told me that that was a problem, And by the way, she also told me the dog had been doing it for 2 years. I go, that's a deep-rooted problem, and I wasn't aware of that. We have dishwashers here, but I didn't bother to train your dog while the dishwasher door was going up or down or what have you. I said, so therefore, more than likely, if the dog's been doing that for 2 years, that's a big habit. You're going to take the dog home, and guess what's going to happen? As soon as you lower that door, there goes your dog. He's going to blow off that place cot and hop right on that door. That's like a fixed action pattern. It's fixed. I said, so therefore, what you'll have to do is go, no, mark it and park it, and put the dog back. And possibly after only 2 repetitions, your dog will then learn and say, hey, so in other words, even when the dishwasher door comes down, I still have to remain here. You bet. When you guys train this, train it under those real conditions. Park a chair, have a seat, have something to eat, watch TV. And if you do, by the way, watch TV, don't put your dog's cot dead smack in front of you between you and the TV. Because now from the dog's perception, you look like you're staring at me the whole time. And we don't want that, because in the beginning, another mistake people make is they stand here super vigilant going, go ahead, punk, make my day. And that's not good. You need to adopt the attitude, wrong is good. Here's my attitude when I'm training. I hope you get off that cot. I really do, because that's going to afford me the opportunity to mark it and park it. And I'm going to just keep working through my list one at a time. Doorbell ringing, that's right, you just got off. Nope, we don't do that. In other words, no doorbell ringing, not when I have a seat, not when I'm eating, not when I'm sending an email, talking on the phone, doing laundry, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I never get excited about doing dishes. So all these sort of things, work your way through them systematically until you've got it done. And remember, duration will build itself. All right, so now we are at the final part. Okay, so you've been out there, you worked on your 3Ds. Man, you are out of sight. Your dog's been on there for a good long while. Man, I tell you, a freight train could go by your dog, and it's not going to hop off that cot or off that mat. Great job. Well, now we have to get the dog off the mat or off the cot. This is critical. So write this down if you have to. Here's what makes place so very, very reliable. It's the way the animal gets off. Everything up to this point is very important, but this is really important. Meaning we use what's called a complex signal, or it can also be known as a signal suite. What makes it complex? Real simple. 3 moving parts. 3 moving parts. In other words, you have one S1, you have an S1, you have an S2, you have an S3. You have 3 separate signals. Signal 1, signal 2, signal 3. They all evoke one R1, one response. That's known as a complex signal. It's known as a signal suite. To give you an example of what that is with humans, if you were driving your car in the middle of nowhere, America, I mean, there's nothing around. And all of a sudden, you come around a curve and there's one tiny little bitty red light by itself hanging from a pole. And it happens to be on. Now, how many of you are going to stop? You may slow down and go, okay, what's that light there for? Am I supposed to stop? But you may not, because you have conceptual distance between the signal, the interpretant, and the referent. Because why? You're missing the other parts. Where's the other 2 lights that come with that red light? Where's the intersection? I'm on a road by myself. There is no intersection. There's no 3 other lights. There's no rectangular box. So therefore, you have a dotted line between all of your parts of the semiotic triangle. We call this conceptual distance. So that being said, that's what a signal suite is. This is why you're reliable with an actual red light that has all these components, why you would be questioning what the heck is going on with only one single light. All right, so what we've done is this. We've made the signal complex because it stands out from all other signals. All other signals. So therefore, it makes it very reliable because before the dog can get off of this platform, you must do 3 separate steps. Step 1, return to your dog. You hear that? Return to your dog. If you want place to be super reliable, don't call your dog off of that mat or place cot. Return to your dog every day that you do place, every time for the rest of your dog's life. You go back. Then you take control of your dog. If it has a long line on, pick it up and put a little bit of tension on it. Little bit of tension. If it doesn't have a leash on it, and it's wearing a collar, grab the collar. If it doesn't have a collar on, grab some part of the dog. We just don't want it to feel like you're petting me. And you're going to find out why in a second. Then number 3, say free. Make sure there's always a gap in between all of those. Otherwise, it'll become convoluted and it'll be one thick signal. So let me kind of demonstrate here with Captain. Okay, so cattle dog's over there. I put him on place, told him to stay, came out here. Now, someone comes over to my house, like Joshua, who's standing behind this camera right here. He goes, seriously, Bryan, you got that for free? Yeah, he heard step 3, the word free. But nothing happens. Why? You're missing the other 2 parts. And someone can go, hey, can I go to the bathroom? Yeah, you got to walk by my dog, though. So someone kind of comes over here and goes, hey, what a nice dog. But then they keep on going to the bathroom. So they look like they're kind of doing step 1. They may even ask, can I pet your dog? And you may say yes. So they come over here. So some human came over here, did step 1. They returned to me. Step 2, they petted me so aggressively, it felt like they took control of me. But then they left, and the dog doesn't get off because there wasn't step 3. Where's step 3? This is why we do this. So here's what it really looks like. And I want you to note my timing because that's super reliable. This is what you're going to need to do. Step 1, return to the dog. Step 2, take control. Give me a little tension on that leash. Step 3, free. And you notice how quickly Captain got off with that free. Because I had the other 2 parts. All right, the whole thing in 30 seconds. Here we go. Place. Dog's on. Well done, cattle dog. Stay. Big open hand signal. Leave the dog. Pay your long line out. Or if you don't have a line on at all, just go away. Get out here and start doing real life stuff. Messing with this, messing with that, having dinner, you name it. You're working on distance, duration, distractions. You're building this thing, building, making it rock solid. Then it's time to get the dog off. If you have a long line, pick it up. If you don't, simply return to your dog. Grab the collar. Free. And off it goes. You know, one last little funny story, 10 seconds. There's going to come a time in which I'm going to tell you, and I'll let you know because I'll say it in a future video, that if you've been practicing this, you can start to leave your platform down on the ground. Because you saying the word place will change the meaning of that platform. Not now, not for the next 2 weeks, but that day's coming. And one day, Captain was on his cot, because we got it strategically placed in my house. I'm going to work, I'm taking him with me, and I got my Yeti, I got my backpack, got my satchel, I got a bunch of stuff. And I walk right by him, and I go, let's go, dude, we're going to work. And I go all the way down this hallway, I get to my garage door, and I go, oh, you gotta be kidding me. He was in a self-imposed place. And that's going to happen. That's just called fractional learning with these animals. You're going to have that. Fragmented stuff coming in left and right. So I have to practice what I preach. And I go, oh, God. I had to go all the way back. Bend over, stuff spilling out my Yeti, grab his collar, and do free. And he hopped right off. It's pretty funny. But that's going to happen when you do start to leave your platform down on the ground. But again, if you're new at this, you're not going to do that, right? Tell me right. I'm going to stand here for a second. Good. Way to go. Because if you do exactly what I've shown up here in the last 2 days, I am telling you what, you're going to have an incredible place command. All right, that wraps it up for place. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about when you don't have the platform and you don't have the cot. Because remember, we've been building this command called stay the whole time. So now I'm going to talk about how do you teach your dog, because you already kind of taught it, but how do we make the stay become its own thing? So you won't have to worry about taking a cot with you everywhere, a mat with you everywhere. We'll talk about the pros and cons of it. Real simple lesson, especially if you do what I told you to do for the next couple of weeks. But we're going to cover it tomorrow, so you will have that information. Okay, guys, be safe out there. Make sure you share this video. There's a lot of people who need it, and a lot of people reached out to me and said, thank God my friend shared this with me. I had no clue that you were doing all these videos. We've had people binge video watching, and they're really, really finding this information informative. So if you are, please help that guy out next door, help that girl out that lives down the street. They're all stuck in their house. They might as well practice place, and then be safe. And I'm going to be here again tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about safe. And speaking of that, again, you be safe. And actually, we're going to be talking about stay and do stay safely. Okay, guys, I'll be seeing you tomorrow.